or email coffee@woonsocketраdio.com. And now, let's join the Coffee and Panel. Hey, good morning, everybody. Monday, March the 18th, 2024 is underway. I'm Dave Richards. Joe has the morning off, and Melissa seems to be delayed in arriving to the studio. We knew ahead of time that John Ward, who's president of the Woonsocket City Council, and who many times on his own volition drops by to discuss the agenda of an upcoming city council meeting, we knew that he would not be available to come to the show this morning. And so guess what? Dave's sitting here by himself. I do, however, have some resources here to get the discussion going. I don't know if you've heard on our newscasts the somewhat lengthy agenda that we have for tonight, but Garrett Manzeri had sent in to us over the weekend a reading of both agendas. Now, there's two meetings of the Woonsocket City Council here tonight. There is a special meeting, which he'll talk about first in this recording, and then there is the regular meeting at 7 o'clock, which also seemed somewhat lengthy, although also somewhat routine. Let's take a look at the agenda here as read to us by Garrett Manzeri, and then we'll discuss it when we return.
The Woonsocket City Council will hold a special meeting Monday, March 18th at 5:30 p.m. at Harris Hall on the third floor. There's one item on the agenda to vote to go into executive session to review and discuss with outside counsel Aaron Weissman in the status of his Phase 1 review of the Mendon Road land investigation and potential next steps. Under the regular meeting starting at 6 p.m., there'll be a public hearing on application BV liquor license by Little Leaners at 144 North Main Street. Also, a public hearing ratifying the tentative agreement negotiated between Rhode Island Council 94, Local 670, and the City of Woonsocket for 2023 to 2026. Under communication from the mayor, appointing John Egan Sr. as a member of the Woonsocket Housing Authority. Under unfinished business, an appropriation ordinance allocating $5 million of ARPA funds to construct the new Cass Park Recreational Athletic Complex. Another ordinance authorizing $450,000 of ARPA funds to renovate River Island Art Park. Another ordinance allocating $45,000 to allow for the Woonsocket YMCA pool to remain open and programs operating until March 31st, 2024. Another appropriation ordinance for the allocation of opioid settlement funds to be sent over to the Woonsocket Prevention Coalition for a total of $250,000. Another ordinance appropriating $1.5 million of American Rescue Plan funds for the design and construction of a new animal shelter to be located at 1500 Manville Road. The last ordinance allowing for the adjustment of ARPA allocations for completed projects to reflect actual expenditures. Under new business, an ordinance to appropriate and use a portion of the rescue funds for security for 3 months at the library for a total cost of $4,500. Another ordinance granting permission for a pole relocation for Narragansett Electric and Verizon New England on Providence Street. Another ordinance an amendment of the zoning code regarding projecting signage in the downtown Overlake District. Another amendment to the Code of Ordinances zoning regarding veterinary clinics and animal hospitals. Another amendment to the zoning code regarding building setbacks in the downtown Overlake District. Granting permission for the 11 AMP Committee and NeighborWorks Blackstone River Valley to use River Island Art Park from June 14th to August 23rd, skipping July 5th, for the 6th annual 11 AMP concert series. A resolution authorizing the Public Works Director to enter into a contract with J.H. Lynch and Sons for roadway improvements on Parkgate Drive. A resolution authorizing the City of Woonsocket to enter into a 3-year contract with Curious Systems for judicial case management software. A resolution authorizing the mayor and city solicitor to negotiate with the local bargaining units. A resolution ratifying the tentative agreement between Rhode Island Council 94, Local 670, and the City of Woonsocket, which is a 3-year contract resulting in a 4% increase effective July 2023, a 3% increase effective July 2024, and a 3% increase effective July 2025. A resolution authorizing the City of Woonsocket to renew a lease with 840 Chill LLC for property located at 840 Cumberland Hill Road for the Water Department for a monthly cost of $3,178. A resolution authorizing the discharge of all motor vehicle excise tax accounts receivable over 10 years in age for a total of $2.8 million. Under petitions to speak, a request of the Public Works Director to address the following items: Cass Park Athletic Complex Dion Track, number 2, Synagro Jacobs Trucking, number 3, paving projects, and number 4, employee contracts. A request of the Planning Director to address 2 items: 1, Truman Drive Greenway Public Meeting, and 2024 Woonsocket Economic Summit. A request of Councilman Thompson to address 1 item: discussion regarding lead grant program and its distribution. And a request of Councilman Jennerman to address the following items. Number 1, brief discussion in connection with preparing the 2025 budget, including a request for an inventory of all outstanding grants awarded to the city, a summary of all outstanding lawsuits, and lastly, a summary of various appropriations made in connection with the wastewater treatment plant since June of 2022. And a request of President Ward to address the following items. Number 1, Mendon Road land purchase investigation. Number 2, ARPA CDBG spending matters. Number 3, Rhode Island House Bill 7079, an act relating to towns and cities, local planning board. And number 4, 2024 comprehensive plan update. And there'll be a vote to go into executive session for a couple of matters. The first, discussion regarding the acquisition and lease of real property. The second, sessions pertaining to collective bargaining or litigation, and work sessions pertaining to collective bargaining or litigation. Discussion regarding negotiations between Local Council 94 and the Police Benevolent Local 808.
Thank you very much. That's Garrett Manseri with his lengthy reading of the 2 agendas. Now, keep in mind, folks, it's going to be a long night for the councilors tonight. Obviously, their meeting is 5:30. And then they have another meeting after the regular meeting that starts at 6. We will broadcast only the part that's in the open, in the clear, the public meeting. As you heard Councilor Manseri say, at 5:30, big agenda item is go into executive session, discuss this. And so you don't broadcast that stuff, folks. You don't broadcast executive meetings. So you won't be hearing that on the radio at 5:30, but at 6 o'clock when they emerge for their regular meeting, you will hear that. At the end of the regular meeting, they will go to executive session again, and before they do, we will disconnect from the Harris Hall feed so that does not get broadcast as well. It's just what you got to do. And like that. So that's what's going on with the Woonsocket City Council tonight. Obviously, there's a bunch of stuff that you've been hearing about in the news coming up again. It's going to be quite an interesting meeting, I have a feeling, and it may put some finality to some of the things that's been straggling on over there. Melissa Murray is at the table this morning. Good morning, Melissa.
Good morning, Dave. Good morning, everyone.
Did you have a nice weekend?
I did.
Was there anything in the agenda that you heard Garrett talk about that particularly perked your ears up?
Well, it's a lot of the same issues that they have been struggling with the last few weeks and months.
Struggling with? Is that an editorial comment?
No.
Let me be a member of the media and pounce on you for that.
A lot of repeat issues that are coming up. So
well, yeah, and some of the stuff was tabled.
Yeah.
So it's rightly
it has
going
to be.
come up.
It has to be. Right.
Yeah, right.
If it's an appropriation ordinance, it has to be tabled for a couple of weeks.
There you go.
Yep.
And there has to be the appropriate notifications, public hearings, and stuff like that.
That's
yeah,
right.
We get all that. So that's all coming up. But I think that they've got their work cut out for them. But it could go very smoothly. Now,
It could.
Council President Ward's not with us this morning to give us his take on it all, and that's unfortunate somewhat. But let's face it, the guy's got a life. He's got other things that he does besides this, and he's not required to be here, of course, to report on the agenda. But at the same time, I'm sure that he'd have an opinion if he was here. And we do appreciate, I should also point out, the times that he can be with us. It's always very, very good to keep that communication going. And we like to hear the story behind the story sometimes, don't we? Huh? All right. So that's tonight's Woonsocket City Council meeting. Could be very, very interesting. If there's something you have to say about it, then obviously you could show up tonight and be part of the talk show at the Public Good and Welfare session.
Yes.
That's just before the main body of the work begins.
Everybody can have their 5 minutes.
There you go. And you could be on the radio yourself.
That's right.
Exciting, huh?
5 minutes is actually quite gracious. Many.
It is a lot of people. I know a lot of bodies cut it down to 2 or 3.
2 or 3. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know North Smithfield is 3.
Yeah.
In many of the hearings that we have, it's 3 minutes. You know.
Down at the State House?
Yeah. It depends on how many folks are there. I mean, if this is
Oh, okay.
100, people waiting to testify.
30 seconds, please.
Well, 2 minutes. 3
Okay,
minutes. It's
okay.
still many hours. So,
Give us your elevator speech.
yeah.
My goodness. All right. Well, did you do anything special yesterday for St. Patrick's Day? I noticed you're still wearing your green
am,
4-leaf,
yeah.
3-leaf clover pin.
Yes.
Now, there's a 4-leaf and there's a 3-leaf. There's 2 pins. Let's put you on the camera over here so everybody can see you. Let's see. This is your Senate vest
This is my Senate vest.
that you have on today for warmth, no doubt.
Yes.
And there's one with a 4-leaf clover.
I have a 4-leaf clover that has a little bling.
It's a little, yeah.
Yeah.
It looks like it's got stones.
It's got little rhinestones around
rhinestones,
it.
is it? Yeah.
And the other
then
one-
it's in gold, and then
Yeah.
there's just a little pin that's got the green on it.
Yeah. It says "World's Cutest Leprechaun."
World's cutest leprechaun. Okay. Well, all right. So now you had all that, and you had your
Yeah.
day yesterday.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
what was it that you did that was memorable?
Well, I made a corned beef. And
You
then
did?
I did.
You know, it's not an easy cut of beef to cook unless you just like to let it sit there for several days.
Yeah. Right. And I actually made it into corned beef hash. So
Did
I
ya?
did all of that. Yep.
I'm a
And then
fan
we
of corned
had
beef hash. Now, when you make
Yep.
corned beef hash, what do you put in it besides that? Is it just potatoes, or do you put other
potatoes, onions. Yeah.
things? Ooh, I think I
Yep,
like
yep.
that.
And then
I
just
like
let it cook
onions.
in the
The
in
kind you
pan
buy in
for
the
it.
can doesn't have any onions in it.
No, it doesn't.
Hmm.
But yeah, it was a labor of love. It was definitely a labor
In other
of
words,
love.
it wasn't a lot of fun. It was labor of love, right?
It took many, many,
Somebody
many
you
hours
knew
to
liked
cook,
it?
and not very many minutes to eat because it was really good. So,
Mm.
yep. And then met my parents over at Ciro's, which is our yearly jaunt, and that was pretty much it.
Cool.
Yep.
All right. Well, what'd you have at Ciro's? Did you
Just
have
cock-
just appetizers, or?
no. We had just eaten brunch, so
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, yesterday I went down to Al's place because he had us talking about his corned beef and cabbage. He was making up a big
Yep.
batch of corned beef and cabbage. Of course, and the people were coming in and purchasing it, but he made up so much that he intentionally put up dozens of containers of full corned beef and cabbage meals in these rather large plastic containers. And I've been reading the commercial for it, and so I said to myself, well, the schedule hasn't worked out for us to go down there and eat. Corned beef and cabbage is okay, but it's not Denise's favorite.
Oh, I love corned beef.
Yeah, I know. She's not her favorite.
Yeah.
She's fond of potatoes and carrots and stuff like that, but not the whole dinner doesn't push her buttons. I love it because you only get it once a year anyway, and I do love cabbage and all the rest of that. So so we went down and we picked up a couple of orders of that, and it was a very, very nice experience.
Yeah.
Thought he might still have a couple left over, by the way, but now it's onward and upward. Because then he's got his specials for the day, his specials tomorrow and Wednesday and stuff like that. So
Well,
but that's
we'll
what I
see.
did. I went down and I got some and I brought it on back and we warmed it up. And I had my corned beef and cabbage there and it was lots of fun.
Yeah, I did. Corned beef was on sale, so I did buy another one and put it in the freezer for another time.
Oh, good.
I love because I could eat it every day.
Yeah,
So,
that's.
I really
well,
love it.
I enjoy it. I enjoy it a lot. And I don't put mustard on much of anything, but I put mustard on corned beef.
Oh, really?
I do.
Yeah, I put nothing on it.
Yeah, I've had it that way a lot, but I kind of like the tang.
Yep.
And I don't put much, just a little smidgen across the top, and a little ribbon of it down the center, I think. better way to say it. And yeah, so I enjoy that. Well, some people like it, some people don't. When it comes to food, you just can't figure it out, right?
Right.
That's why I never get in the food business. I can't imagine myself in the food business because, well, let's face it. When I was a young boy, my elders taught me all the survival skills: how to fish, how to hunt, how to do this, that, and the other, start the fire, all the Boy Scouty things, and how to sew and how to. That was great because they couldn't. My sisters couldn't believe Dave can sew. Yeah.
You have to know how to sew a button.
Well, or more. Yeah, I
Or
was
more,
I was
but-
taught I was taught how to sew, but it was all survival skills they taught you, and it had nothing to do with sexual roles, and had nothing to do with that. You got to know this as a person. If you're going to live alone, you got to take care of yourself, and that. So anyway, as I was saying, we have all the fun stuff going on. Oh, what else did they teach me to do? Cook. And cooking was very basic when they taught you to cook. They said, cook it, try not to burn it. If you burn it, eat it anyway. And then
Waste not, want not.
yeah, and then they explained the differences because they said cooking is like a chemistry set. Mm-hmm. You know, you've got your sweets, your sours. You've got these things go with these things. Those things don't go with those things, and these are sometimes mixers. And you just pick one from the food groups and you go forward like that and try to have a well-rounded meal if you can get something to eat. If you can't, then these are the things that you might eat and survive. Taste awful, but you can live on them.
Right.
And then they got into the berries and the mushrooms and the rest of that sort of thing like that.
My parents cooked every night, and I cook
Yeah.
every night too.
Do you?
Yeah.
That must be difficult when you got your part-time job down there and
My part-time job that
Yeah.
Takes up a lot of time.
that takes up a lot of time. That
Yeah.
must be difficult when you're down in Providence.
Well, yeah, I don't cook those nights. They provide us a
Oh, okay.
meal those nights, but
Well,
every other night I cook.
yeah.
Yeah, we always cook at home. Yeah.
Well, that's good. That's good. Denise is a really great cook. She won't admit it, but she's a really great cook. She has, some people would say, a limited menu of favorites because they're things that she's cooked that I've really loved, and you just can't cook everything.
Yeah, right. When you do it well,
But she's got
I mean,
special things that she cooks. And as we've gotten older, I help her in the kitchen a little bit more than I used to. She was taught to cook differently than me.
Mm-hmm.
Her cooking is more edible than mine. So so we limit that. But I'll help her with things like if she's going to make ragu. I'll toast the flour because it's a thankless, burdensome job. And she's,
Right.
Dave, you could toast the flour. Just keep
Yeah,
it
yeah,
moving.
yeah,
Just
yeah.
keep it moving. Just keep
Just move it around, yeah.
I said, well, it'd go a lot faster if we turn the heat up. He said, then you'll burn it. No. Got to do it in the lower heat.
No, it's a lesson in patience.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, Michael and I cook together all the time, and
But do you have the
growing
same
up-
styles?
No, probably not. But we
No?
just work together. We don't think about it.
The other
Yeah.
thing that doesn't work so well for cooking for me is and Denise, by the way, our styles are very different.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm cooking, I'm washing the dishes as I use them.
Clean as you go.
Yeah, that's how I was
I
taught.
don't do that.
You
That's
cook
what Michael
something in a
does.
frying pan.
Clean as you go.
You cook something in a frying pan. Frying pan's still hot, right off the skillet. Put it underneath the tap. Throw a little detergent in there and scrub it up. Boy,
I know, it
nothing
is-
cleans faster than a hot pan.
Yeah, and it is nice to finish dinner and
Not have all
a
that,
bunch
right.
Of, I know, but I don't do that. I
even
throw
hang
everything
it,
in
I
the
even
sink.
hang it up before I go sit down to eat.
That's what I should do, but I don't do that. Everything goes in the sink, and then you do
And
it
then
after.
there's the chore.
And then there's it after. Oh,
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, listen, it's time for us to take a little break over here. We'll be back with more Coffee in just a few moments. Right now, it's the time for a message from Inferno Audio. Remote car starters are great to have in the summertime. They can cool off the inside of your car when the sun is blazing. Stop by Inferno Audio on Clinton Street in Woonsocket and speak to Keith about how easy it is to have a remote car starter installed in your vehicle. Now, if your air conditioner isn't working in your car, no problemo. Inferno Audio can make it work. So don't drive around with a hot car burning your fingertips. That's not safe. Plus, they can make car keys for any make or model of vehicle, and the price will be far less than the dealership would tell you. Stop in today and see Keith at Inferno Audio, 160 Clinton Street, Woonsocket, just next to KFC.
Dr. Jeffrey Dodge believes that good communication is important because it makes patients feel relaxed, reassured, so the visit can be a positive experience. It's important to listen to what patients have to say and to explain clearly what procedures or treatment is best. Dr. Dodge is a family dentist and welcomes children, adults, and senior citizens. And remember, it's important to take good care of your teeth at any age. Dr. Jeffrey Dodge, 1438 Park Avenue, Woonsocket. At Park Square, 762-3044.
The Coffee and Panel is enjoying coffee from Down East Coffee Roasters. All their coffee is roasted right here in Rhode Island. Down East Coffee Roasters is available at all Little General stores.
ON Radio.
That's us. Okay, and it's Coffee Ann here this morning. Smaller cast than usual. Dave Richards here. Joe is out today. John couldn't make it, but Melissa Murray is here. And Melissa, on our newspaper this morning, we are seeing a different, a really long story here about federal spending. And Cass Park and Hallowell projects are both getting it. And we don't read too much about the Hallowell project, so I thought maybe I'd read some of Stella Lawrence's story from today's Woonsocket Blackstone Valley Call-in Times. And it says $460 billion legislative package was signed into law down in Washington last week. And what it does is it assures funding about a dozen key departments and agencies through the rest of the fiscal year, but also included $120 million for Rhode Island. Impactful earmarks, says Senator Jack Reed, and all the rest of that. Among those earmarks is a $1 million grant for the Hallowell School redevelopment project in North Smithfield. Jeffrey Porter, an architect who chairs the Hallowell Review Committee, said the committee and their consultant, Lisa Marie Andosia, I think her name is pronounced, started applying for the grant when former Congressman Dave Cicilline was still in office, but Congressman Gabe Amo helped get it across the finish line. And they already have pledged $1.2 million from the general budget to demolish the existing buildings and remediate asbestos. Previously obtained a separate $4 million federal grant for construction for the community center. This latest $1 million will especially fund the site preparation that comes after demolition, as well as some landscaping and preparation of the community garden, according to a copy of the grant application. Now, the community garden, it's hard to picture that, but they try to give you a little bit of an idea. Walking paths, biking paths, benches, beautiful shade trees, the community garden that supplies fresh vegetables to the food pantry. Outside of the community garden, it sounds very much like World War II Veterans Park here in Woonsocket.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Green space is important. You know, it really is.
well, you'd think that, but somebody made a wisecrack to me last week. I read a news story on the air, and the text of the news story, which was prepared outside, and we got it on a wire service, pointed out that 53% of Rhode Island. Now you think about Rhode Island, right? Great, biggest little state in the union.
Right.
You fit 1 million people into a tiniest little state, all the rest of that stuff, but it's all in the eastern part of the state because 53% of Rhode Island is wooded. And I wouldn't be surprised, forgive my cynicism for emerging, if the majority of that were wooded in perpetuity because of these legal things, where somebody passes away, they had the land, they had an intended use, the offspring don't want to pay the taxes on it, so they cut a deal with the government, make this a sanctuary, you pay us for it, and it'll never be developed because it'll be yours. And what do they call them? Open space grants, things like that. There's several different mechanisms to get it done. And so that's been going on now for 40 or 50 years. And we've got 53% of the state that's wooded.
I'm surprised to hear that. I would have thought that it was less.
Me too. If I was on a TV quiz show and somebody asked me that, I said, "Nah, you're crazy."
No,
You know why? Because we don't go to the wood part.
we don't.
We only travel the populated part.
I know. We don't go all the way to Burrillville.
Well, Boroville, I went all the way into
Right,
several
right.
times.
But yeah, we're so Rhode Island, right? But I think that it's really important, and I think that it's important to have green space, especially in cities like ours. You know, we have some really great parks, and I think that it's important to preserve that.
Well, where do you fall now on that whole business with Kennedy Plaza? Because the people in favor of taking the bus terminal out of that, moving it to South Providence, oh my goodness, which will destroy the bus terminal and its usefulness to most of Rhode Island.
Yep.
But they want it out of there so they can put green space there right in the middle of the city.
You know, it's
They want to make a park out of it.
I get that. But I think that it is a NIMBY factor. I think with the development of the Superman building, whenever or however that happens, you know, they're looking at folks who want to move in there and don't want a bus terminal and in their front yard, basically. But
If I
I
was
think
living on the 20th floor of an old Art Deco building, I wouldn't care that there was a bus terminal.
Nor would
downstairs.
I. Nor would
In
I.
fact, it would be very
I would love it.
thrifty
Yeah,
to be able to
we wouldn't
pop
have
a
to have a
bus.
car, right? But you know, I think that that thinking is like, oh, those folks are going to pay high dollar, and they don't want the bus terminal and all the traffic and the all the people that
It's
it
going to
attracts.
destroy it for
but
the bus terminal, though,
I mean, I think it's foolish.
because it will be in South Providence. And where are you going to
It's
go in
not-
South Providence?
Right,
You're going
right.
to go.
No,
you're
I
going to
know.
go
I
to
think
the
it's.
port. You're going to go to the hospitals.
I think
Well,
they
that
keep
might
it
be okay, but there's a shuttle to the
Right.
hospital.
right, but I think they should keep it where it is. It is, like I said, the central hub. A lot of even students take buses
Yeah.
to go, public transportation.
And that's the hub, the terminus for several routes that you can
Yeah.
switch over to another route.
That's right.
And that sort of thing. Because there's
breaking-
no route from Woonsocket to Narragansett. If you wanted to go to Narragansett, you have
You
to go
have to
to
go to
the hub.
Providence, right?
Exactly.
I think it's.
In fact, if you want to go to Burrillville, you have to go to Providence to get to Burrillville.
yeah, that's true.
But that's the way that works in this century, anyway.
No, I don't like it. I think it's a bad idea, and I think it's about gentrification and.
Well, now you see some things that I don't. Do you think that this clearly controversial, I'll say bad, but that's an opinion, this clearly controversial idea is sticking to the wall because certain leadership people in the legislature don't care for RIPTA or they don't care for the director?
No, I don't think it's about that.
Really?
No.
Because that's another story. We hear that. Oh, we want this guy out of here. We're going to give RIPTA heartburn until he's gone and stuff like that.
No. I think this idea.
And destroying your hub and moving it to some other place is a good way to destroy your agency.
Well, I think this idea and this concept predates the current RIPTA director, even though I know he's been there for some time. But
Right.
Folks have been talking about this for a long time, and the powers that be, I don't think it's necessarily the legislature, but I think it's developers.
I can say that one of the comforts of serving jury duty for me is taking the bus.
Yeah, right.
Now, you have to get used to it because we don't take the bus all the time. We don't have to. Denise and I have chopped it down to one car between us, and we think that's a good, sustainable way to continue forward. Although, when we lived in Burrillville and raised our family out there, we had to each have a car. When I
Right.
was away from work, she was stuck.
Right.
Couldn't even go out
right.
and get milk and bread because in Burrillville you need milk and bread to go get. You need a car to get
Right.
to get milk and bread. That was what we needed then, but we stopped all that, and so we try to be conscientious. And if I have to serve jury duty, or if I have to go down, and there's been occasions where Denise has had to travel, we'll take a bus and we're happy that it's there.
Right. And so RIPTA also is like talking about cutting routes. They don't have enough drivers. They don't have the funds.
Well, I know they were talking about that, but didn't you see last week they just
Yeah,
said,
they-
well, I'm going to
they
put a hold on that because it
Yes.
looks like people are applying.
Right, because they increased the
Yeah.
yeah.
They made it much more attractive to become a bus driver.
Right, which is great because we need that. We need a robust public transportation system.
So much for no such thing as inflation. Okay. That's what they keep saying.
Yeah.
No such thing as
Right,
inflation.
Right.
You kidding me? Inflation's low.
Oh yeah.
Until the president gets reelected. And there you go. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for us to pause in our deliberations, and we'll call out another radio square for you. Calling out Park Square Florist. Park Square Florist is the square we're calling out this time. Park Square Florist. Just cross that off on game card number 3. Keep in mind it's game card number 3 this time around. You can't use the other 2 because all the sponsors get jumbled up on each different game card. And it'll be different next week too. So if you have not qualified already, if you're not one of the 20 who have already qualified for
There's
Radio
still
Squares,
a chance.
there's a chance for you. There's 20 more we're looking for, and that is 762-1240. Do not call the on-air number. Call the office number at 762-1240 if Park Square Florist makes a line for you. Thank you very much. We'll be right back after we take a look at this message from Krakow Deli Bakery Smokehouse. Gold medal winner in the Best of the Blackstone Valley. I got a nice note from Marta at Krakow Deli Bakery Smokehouse on Social Street in Woonsocket, and she says, "Dear Dave, please tell the people in the audience that Lenten specials are available at Krakow Deli Bakery Smokehouse. The meat-free offerings are the same that you get each year and can't get anywhere else. Also, looking ahead to Easter, traditional Easter soup is white borscht with kielbasa. Hard-boiled egg and horseradish are available in different styles, and baked or smoked ham on the side. You can pre-order by calling ahead of time. Fulfill your table with wooden hand-painted eggs, breaded lamb and butter lamb. Happy Easter from Krakow Deli Bakery Smokehouse, voted Best Deli and Best Catering in the Blackstone Valley on the Best of the Blackstone Valley contest. Krakow Deli Bakery Smokehouse, Social Street, Woonsocket.
One of our gold medal winners in the Best of the Blackstone Valley is Marchand Environmental of Blackstone. They won gold in the category of septic service. They also won silver in the junk removal dumpsters category. For information, visit marchandenvironmental.com, one of the best of the Blackstone Valley.
What would you do with $300 in cash? To find out, play the Valley Breeze ON Radio Squares contest all this week, exclusively in the Valley Breeze newspapers and right here on ON AM and FM radio. All righty then. That's very nice. Radio Squares. Yeah, we'll call out another one in less than an hour from now. What do you know? All right, let's see. Imagine a child in extreme poverty waiting over a year to be sponsored. End their wait today. Become a Compassion sponsor. Text the word radio to 83393. That's 83393. Compassion International brings you the weather forecast. We remind you that there is a special weather statement in effect from the National Weather Service for outdoor fires possibility. The humidity is going down very low this afternoon, around 30%, which is low. And there's, of course, a wind from the west coming up, and we're going to be in the mid-50s, so people will be outside. So be extra careful about any burning that goes outside, any sparks or whatever. And that is in effect for this afternoon and this evening in our local area. We are starting to see a little bit of sunshine. It started off cloudy. Now mostly sunny skies are predicted for the remainder of the day, with a high of 52 and the west wind up around 30 miles an hour. Tonight, the wind dies down. Temperature goes down to 31, mostly clear skies. Tomorrow, Tuesday, sunshine and 45. Wednesday, got a tiny 30% chance of a shower. Sunny, partly sunny, and a high of 51. Thursday, sunshine and 45. Friday, sunshine and 46. Friday night, it clouds up, and there's a chance of some snow as it gets down around 30 degrees if it precipitates. It's only a 30% chance. Saturday, a 40% chance of rain or snow. Mostly cloudy with a high of 45. That's the part that would be the rain. Before that would be the snow. And like that. Then on Sunday, mostly sunny skies and 42 with a north wind. And that's our forecast.
No more
What?
snow.
No more snow. What's wrong with it?
I
The most wonderful thing is a nice spring snow. You know, it never lasts.
well,
You know, it's usually not a big snowfall.
I'm over it. I'm over it already.
You're over it already,
I'm
huh?
over it already. Bring on April.
Okay.
We're almost there.
I've been saying it for a while.
I know you have.
Come on,
all,
April.
yeah, all year.
Yeah, looking forward to it. And then, isn't it crazy? The conventions and stuff come up in April, and I got to travel.
Yep.
And I always tell Denise, the last time when I'm walking out the door to the airport, I'm saying, who would ever want to leave Rhode Island in April? My goodness, I got to have my head examined.
Yep.
But, you know, business conventions, stuff like that has to get done. And we have to go someplace where April isn't nearly so charming a month.
Yeah, it's very Vegas is hot all the time.
Not in April.
It's still hot.
It could be.
You know what? I lived in
It
Phoenix for
could
4
be
years,
hot.
so
It could be hot. They have a very volatile month. April's a very volatile month for Las Vegas because they're in the transition. It's kind of like volatile, like November's volatile. You have a beautiful day, you have a crummy day, you have rain, you have this day, right? A lot of wind. We've seen lots of wind and lots of rain during April in Las Vegas. So, yeah, well, what are you going to do?
I lived in Phoenix for 4 years, and I couldn't wait to leave from the. I did go to school there. I got my degree, so it was great in that respect, and lots of great folks, and a very
The university had air conditioning, right?
oh my gosh, yeah. So I met. I had a classmate from Sudan who was complaining about the heat. And this was probably in May or June. It was already really hot. It's hot all the time there. And he said, this is hotter than Sudan.
Mm-hmm.
So
Sudan is attached to the continent of
Africa.
Africa. Right.
Yeah.
And they're equatorial, aren't they? More or less?
More or less, yeah.
A little
yeah.
north of
yeah,
equatorial?
little, yeah, right. But when it's hot there, it's really hot, and it's a dry heat. And I was always like, oh, but it's a dry heat. Yes, it's like you open an oven door when you open your front door. And I remember my first summer there. Every day was the hottest day of my life. Every day when I woke up was the hottest day of my life, and I would have cried, but I think my tears dissipated because it was just so hot. You're like, oh my gosh, it's 109, 111. You don't see those temperatures here, right? And then I think the hottest day was, I think it was 118. So it was tough. And my last summer there were 100 consecutive days where it was over 110 degrees.
Over 110.
Yes.
That's hot.
That's hot. Yeah.
That's
And then I moved back east.
don't bother cooking dinner. Mama.
You literally fry an egg on the sidewalk.
That's right. Yeah, you can.
Don't leave any change on your the seat of your car, and
Oh,
get in your
gosh.
car with shorts because it will burn the emblem of the of the change into the back of your
Exactly,
leg.
yeah.
It's bad. So, but that was an experience.
All right. Want to comment on the news?
Sure.
All right. Well, there's a guy from North Attleboro who's in jail now after he conned a Rhode Island company he was working at out of more than $1 million of precious metals. I guess he was taking it out a little bit at a time.
Yep.
And every month or so, he was cashing it in up in Boston. And they caught up with him.
Wow. Over $1 million.
$1 million of precious metals,
Yep.
all kinds, gold,
Yep.
platinum,
Yep.
silver. And but they caught up with him, and they got him in jail now. The thing that I was going to bring up about this was we don't know the name of the jewelry company that
Yeah, I
he
was
did
going
this
to ask.
for.
Yep.
Yeah, no, we don't know that because the jewelry company convinced the court to leave their name out of court documents so that it wouldn't be part of the public record and subject them to ridicule, I'm sure was their argument.
Sure.
You
Or
know.
maybe, some other employees
But it-
getting some ideas.
Yeah,
Right.
this.
That's-
I
wow.
had a time in my life where I had I got a chance to see some of this stuff happening at a jewelry company,
Mm-hmm.
where some members of the cast, as it were sneaking gold chain out, and then selling it. And I don't know how rich they got. There was 3 or 4 of them, so they obviously had to share their spoils. But they it just disappeared.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess after an investigation, they figured out that they were sneaking it out of their workplace. Excuse me a moment. They were sneaking it out of their workplace in their clothing,
Yep.
going to the restroom and flushing it down the toilet, and then with Confederates getting it out of the septic system
What?
on the weekends when the plant was closed.
That is wild.
And I said to myself, oh my goodness, you really got to be dedicated
Yeah.
to thievery
Yeah.
to go that far. But there had to be some dough in it.
Well, right, or otherwise they wouldn't do it. But
So-
because there's metal detectors that when you work at those places, and you have to go in and out, and you're not even allowed to wear a lot of times your own jewelry there.
That's
Yeah.
right. Well, anyway, so he's they
That's-
they
yeah.
think they've got him dead to rights
I
there.
wonder how he did it. Because
Yeah, I don't know how he got it out either.
Right, because those places, people have done this, so they have metal detectors and
Yeah.
there's all this stuff. So
There were 194 confirmed cases of COVID. We're still talking about it.
yeah,
In 1 week, March 3rd to the 9th, no reported deaths. That's the first time in a long time that there were no reported deaths in 1 week. And they said 25 new COVID-related hospital admissions. All those numbers seem down
yeah,
from what they were before. That's a good thing.
it is a good thing. I do have a friend who has both of their parents were in the hospital last week. So
Wow.
yeah, it's still going on.
I was visiting a friend yesterday in the hospital, and the word was masks and gloves.
Yeah,
Yeah, masks and gloves. Brought back some old, not so fond memories.
I know. Well,
Just 4 years ago.
the norovirus is going around, and they say that the best way to prevent the norovirus is to just wash your hands regularly.
Yeah.
It's simple, but people, we've gotten out of the habit, and people aren't doing it anymore.
Yeah. Marriage rates in the United States are back to pre-pandemic levels.
Okay.
New government data shows that there were just over 2 million marriages in the U.S. in 2022, roughly 6.2 marriages per 1,000 people.
Wow, that's not a big rate.
No. But I mean, a lot of them are married already, so they're not getting married again. These are just
Well,
the
some
marriage
are.
ceremonies we're
Yeah,
talking
yeah.
about. Right. So that's the highest level since 2018. Marriage rates dropped when COVID hit. I thought it was an interesting byproduct of the pandemic.
Right?
And in 2020, there were only 1.6 marriages nationwide. While numbers seem to have recovered from the pandemic, the last 2 decades have seen an overall downward trend in marriage rates, aided only by same-sex marriage rates going up.
Right. It's a moneymaker.
So this takes care of the declining marriage rate by having same-sex marriage. Okay. Do you play the lotteries?
No.
Mega Millions is the latest one in the spotlight. 875 million buckaroos.
Holy cow.
Yep. They say no ticket matched all 6 numbers last Friday nights. The grand prize jumps to an estimated 875 million for tomorrow's drawing of Mega Millions.
Wow. Well, I guess you can't win if you don't
Meanwhile,
play.
there's no winner in Saturday's Powerball drawing. So that jackpot will be worth an estimated $645 million for Monday's drawing. That's tonight's drawing. Mm-hmm. They added one. They're back up. They're up to 3 a week, just like the other one is, right? So what do you do after you win the Super Bowl? You go to Disney World, and then
Right.
you get one of your teammates to go into business with you and make a restaurant.
Everyone wants to have the restaurant.
A steakhouse.
Oh, yeah, of
A
course.
steakhouse at the Lowe's Hotel in Kansas City. The restaurant will be called, see if you can figure out why, 1587 Prime.
The score.
Combination of the jersey numbers.
Oh, all right. Everyone. I was going to say everyone wants a restaurant that's named after them when they're
No,
like a famous thing.
1587 Prime.
Yeah. Okay.
It'll span 2 floors and have hyper subtle nods to the accomplishments of the 2 gentlemen on the field.
Hyper subtle.
Yeah. According to the hospitality group Noble 33, which is helping them put this together, the restaurant will open early next year because you can't just open a restaurant just like that.
Okay. I'm wondering how you can have a hyper subtle nod.
Well, when we come back, we'll talk about giant sheep. But time now for this little break. We'll be right back with more after these important messages. You know, when you're paying the right price for protection, you just know it. It's that warm, fuzzy, totally secure feeling, knowing that you're not only getting great coverage, but you're also not paying too much for it. And when it comes to your insurance, there's no one better at getting the right price for your protection than Allstate agents Kara and Celeste Benjamin, because they know when it comes to your bank account, every penny counts towards something bigger, something better. Like a nicer car, that home update you've been dreaming of, or a phone that's fresh out of the box. Those little or big things that we work so hard for. And Kara and Celeste Benjamin want to help you work a little less by getting you the coverage you need and the savings you deserve when you switch to Allstate. Contact Kara and Celeste Benjamin at the Benjamin Agency. One agency, 2 locations in North Smithfield and Bellingham. 765-5000 for a free quote today. Allstate, you're in good hands. And you're in good hands with Kara and Celeste Benjamin at the Benjamin Agency. Savings vary based on the average annual savings reported by new auto customers surveyed in 2019 who switched to Allstate. What would you do with $300 in cash? To find out, play the Valley Breeze ON Radio Squares contest all this week, exclusively in the Valley Breeze newspapers and right here on ON AM and FM radio. You betcha. All right. Well, we'll get to some important news in a few minutes, but right now, the giant sheep. I see I piqued your interest.
You know, animal stories always pique my interest, yes.
That's my job. Well, a Montana man is pleading guilty to 2 felony wildlife crimes over a years-long effort to create giant sheep hybrids. 80-year-old Arthur Jack Schubarth owns an, quote, alternative livestock, end quote, ranch that stretches 215 acres. Which is a sizable piece out there in Montana.
Okay.
Vaughan, Montana is where the place is. According to a press release from the Department of Justice, he's in big doo-doo because Schubarth tried to create a species of giant sheep by importing parts of the largest sheep species in the world to create cloned embryos to implant in a female sheep on his ranch. His goal was to sell the species to hunting facilities.
Hunting facilities.
He conspired with at least 5 others, beginning in 2013, to genetically engineer the giant sheep for high prices from shooting preserves. What laws did he break?
I know. I'm trying to figure out what laws he broke. And also, who hunts sheep?
Well, there you go. I mean...
I mean, they're not... when you're thinking about hunting and, like, it's all very bizarre, isn't it?
Yep. Seems that a lot of that... Well, maybe he just figures sheep are easier
I
to
guess.
reproduce.
I guess.
And grow to full size. I don't know. But I'm trying to figure out why is he in jail?
Right. Why is the Department of
It
Justice
says
involved?
2 felony wildlife crimes. I mean, to me, it looks like selective breeding.
Is it illegal to clone
your Angus beef is all part of that. Longhorns, various steers have been put together to make better beef or whatever.
Well, right.
So I mean,
But that's breeding. I guess maybe it may be the cloning part.
yeah.
They don't want to just anybody cloning animals. It's not.
Yeah, so there must
not
be a
good
rule
idea.
against it. Okay,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
there's a rule against it. I mean, I could live in Vaughan, Montana, and I could go out to the barn, and I wouldn't know I was breaking the law if I was doing that, trying to get something done. It sounds to me like the guy's working really hard to make something.
It sounds
to
expensive, also.
Make an industry.
Right.
Did you know the man who invented the modern karaoke machine had just passed away?
Oh, really?
I'm going to murder the name, but he's not around anymore to correct me. Shigeshi
I was going to say it must be Japanese.
Negishi.
Yeah.
I think it's Shigeshi Negishi. That's way it looks to me. He's died at the age of 100.
Wow. Okay, that's a good run.
A Japanese businessman invented the first version of the karaoke machine, or as they say in Japan, karaoke.
Oh.
Karaoke.
Karaoke.
Well,
Yeah.
there's no I in karaoke.
I know.
Give me a break. So anyway, he's invented the machine back in 1967. It was called a Sparkle Box, after a co-worker jokingly made fun of his singing voice. His family says he died on January 26th after a fall. Oh, that's too
Oh.
bad.
So he wasn't a good singer. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Most people who do karaoke are not.
Well,
Are
he
not.
sounded so much better when they put the music to it.
Right, right. Anybody can be a star.
That's right. All right, so there you go. Shigeshi Negishi is gone.
Mm-hmm.
Pierce Brosnan, the actor.
Yes,
You might have an opinion about him.
he's
He
British.
did
I don't
James
know.
Bond for a
Yeah,
long
right.
time. Yeah, he
Yeah.
did. But he had a TV show.
Oh, that's right. And I can't remember what it was called.
Steel.
Oh, yeah, Remington Steel.
Yeah.
That's what.
Okay.
Yep.
He's on the hook to pay a fine after ignoring the rules at Yellowstone National Park. There's a sign there that says that you cannot walk by foot near the Mammoth Terraces hot springs. This is for your own safety because it gets hot.
Yeah.
You could burn your feet. And then, it's way out in the woods, so they don't want to be sending ambulances out there all the time. So there's a sign that says, do not walk barefoot. And once they put it on a sign in a federal national park, it becomes a federal regulation.
That's right.
And so that's what he did. He went barefoot. The crimes are considered petty offenses and will see Brosnan pay over $1,500
Oh my God.
to a nonprofit tasked with preserving the park.
For walking
That's
barefoot.
a lot more for a petty offense than I've ever seen.
Yeah, yeah.
He's living in the area at the time of the offense while filming a movie at the historic park and was caught barefooted.
And who was the person who was just like, oh, they're just trying to get him, right? Because he's a famous person and,
Might
he's
be.
walking barefoot. And,
Might be.
yeah.
All right, so we don't have a St. Patrick's Parade in Woonsocket. I
We
don't
don't.
recall that we ever did.
No.
The closest one would be Pawtucket, right?
Yep. Yep.
And I understand they had one on Saturday down in Newport, which they
And
did
West
very
Warwick.
West Warwick at the Coventry Town line. But did you get invited to the other one?
Which other one?
The one in Little Compton.
No.
And you're drawing a blank. I can see from your face.
I didn't know Little Compton. I know a lot of people have them, but no one Woonsocket doesn't. So I always thought we should, but
The shortest St. Patrick's Day parade in the world. Found in Little Compton, Rhode Island.
okay.
The parade is only 89 feet long. And it started at 3 o'clock yesterday and ended at 10 minutes after. And can be found at 26 Main Street in Little Compton.
All right.
I thought I'd heard about this a long, long time ago.
I've
in a
never heard
joke.
about it.
I never heard that much information about it that I just read. But it's actually there. The shortest St. Patrick's Day parade in the world. at 26 Main Street in Little Compton. Maybe there's a plaque there or something.
Maybe. It's a very small
Site of the
Main Street.
shortest St. Patrick's Day parade in the world. 89 feet long.
Yeah.
And it shuts down Main Street for 10 minutes.
Very small Main Street.
Oh, my goodness. Can you imagine that? Well, you must have some enough of the silly stuff. You must have some interesting things that are going on that could be
We are in the
discussed
thick
down
of
there
it right now.
in the
Yeah.
State House. You want to, since you're wearing your State House, you know, people have to understand. I try not to hook you on your Senate job all the time because actually, you know, you're a staffer here, and it has nothing to do with you being
Right.
in the Senate.
Right.
It's in spite of you being in the Senate.
Right.
But at the same time, you know, that's an interesting job for anybody. And I just wonder if you had
It's
anything that you wanted
always
to mention while you're
interesting.
here.
Yeah. So, you know, I actually put in
Do we have any defections going on down there? Because, you know, in Boston, on Beacon Hill, literally dozens of people are refusing to run for re-election in the Massachusetts legislature, in the Grand Court.
No, we don't. Sadly, we lost two of our colleagues this.
Yes, but you don't have any resignations.
Nope.
And you don't have people saying, this ain't no fun anymore. I'm not coming back. That's
Well,
what's
it's not
happening in Massachusetts.
well, I mean, you don't run for office for fun. Well, most people don't. Some people do, because I think it's fun. Or I mean, it's a hard job, but I love it, and I put in over 30 bills this year, and
30 bills?
it just happened. So last year,
You got to stop for a second. 30 bills.
I know,
I
yeah.
imagine that they're written on paper.
yes.
Because that's the way things still are in the legislature,
Yes,
right?
yes, yep. And
All
you
right.
literally get your signatures
Right.
on a piece of paper.
Now,
we still do it that way.
30
Yeah.
bills. If we were to stack them up here on the coffee and table, how high off the table surface would they go? All 30 bills, do you
All
think?
30 bills? Not too high. Not too high. A few
You're
inches.
showing 5 inches with your fingers.
Yeah.
About the width of the circumference of a CD. Compact disc.
Yeah.
5 inches is a compact
yeah.
disc. How about
Fun
that?
fact. Every day's a school day. I did not know that.
That's how we measure things.
Yeah. Yeah. And my first bill passed this week. And you're thinking like, well, you know, we're just starting to pass bills now in the Senate. We're hearing the budget. Finance started meeting the very first week, and we're always the first committee to meet. And we have been meeting
You're
every.
on finance?
Yes.
I wasn't paying attention.
I'm the vice chair of finance, Senate
No
Finance,
kidding.
and we start meeting right away every Tuesday, every Thursday.
You've
We
got a
meet.
unique picture on how much money we're not expecting to take in next year.
Yeah, yes, it's very grim. It's not good, but my first bill passed on the floor this past week. It was a bill that the Senate passed last year, and it's expanding HIV prevention medication. And so there is HIV prevention medication. It's PrEP and PEP. So it's pre-exposure prophylaxis and post-exposure prophylaxis. So what this means is you can take these pills to prevent getting HIV. And you can also take them if you think that you are exposed to HIV.
Like
and
a
it will,
morning after pill?
yes, and it will prevent you from developing HIV. So the problem is HIV is preventable now, and you know we've made so much progress in the past few decades, but we can't do that if the medication is not accessible to everybody. So if you think that you've been exposed, and you go to the doctor and they give you a prescription for this, and then you go to the pharmacy point of sale is where we lose folks because of the cost. So it's
Right.
It's completely preventable.
Well, I've seen that. Picking up a prescription to somebody
all-
who's
that's
just ahead
all
of me walks
prescriptions.
away from the counter without what they have.
Right.
what they want.
And this happens with a lot of medications, and it's the pharmacy point of sale where you lose people to follow up care, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when you do that, people who are they're 5 to 6 times more likely to develop HIV when they're lost to follow up care, right? So this is something like preventable. We passed a bill last year, and then my bill unanimously passed the Senate, and then it went to the House, and they made some changes that were not to the benefit of patients. Let's just say that. And so I restored the bill. It unanimously passed the Senate this year. So pharmacists can prescribe PrEP and PEP. There is no out-of-pocket cost, no deductible, and it eliminates pre-authorization, which is really important because, say you step on a rusty nail, you're not required to get pre-authorization for a tetanus shot. You're not required to get pre-authorization for a rabies shot. Why would you have to get pre-authorization for a HIV prevention pill, right? And there's that window, which is 72 hours, where you have to take it after you're exposed. So, there's really no need that they should be requiring pre-authorization. I think it's like just it's big pharma.
Did you have anybody in the House help you out with a companion piece of legislation?
Yep.
You did?
Rep. Kislak is put in the bill, the House bill, and they are working on that on the House. So hopefully it'll pass both chambers, and people won't have to worry. And we do have some of the strongest HIV prevention bills, protections in the country. So hopefully Rhode Island can potentially be the first state to completely eradicate HIV, which is transmission of HIV, which would be really, really great for a lot of people.
Oh,
But-
certainly. Lots of good for, and a coworker here at the radio station. You know how he got it, by the way? Blood transfusion.
Yeah.
And this was early on.
This is early on when we didn't know. Yeah.
Right.
We've come so
he got a blood
far.
transfusion, and he developed AIDS, HIV. No contacts with anybody. He was a very
Right.
young man. And then all of a sudden now he's got this. How did he get it? They traced it back to blood transfusion. Well, that doesn't happen anymore.
That doesn't happen anymore.
But to watch
yeah.
him go was just the most
Right. And,
awful thing in the world.
and back before we knew, we lost a lot of people. And, that doesn't have to happen anymore. Thankfully, we have the drugs to do it. But drugs can't be effective if people can't access them. So
Right.
accessibility is everything.
Thank you very much. All right. Well, listen, we've gone a little over.
Off my pulpit now.
No, it's not a pulpit. I asked you. That's very good. Well, I can see where you're going with that thing, and we could all have discussions one way or the other. I don't think it's appropriate right now. I asked you for a report. You gave us a nice report on things that are going on. Maybe we'll get a chance to do it again another time with other things that you have in the works. So it's 1 down and 29 to go for you, right?
Yes. Well, I have another one up this week too.
Oh, you're going to replace this, so you're going to go back to 30?
No. I have another bill up for
but
full
it's
Senate
one
consideration.
bill down, 29 to go.
It'll be 28 to go.
28 to go. All right, very good. All right, Melissa. Well, thanks for being with us today. And
thank you.
I extend my personal thanks to you because it would have been a very long and boring program had I not had someone to talk to for the last hour. And thank you very much for being here. We'll see you in the office a little bit later on. Coming up next, we have Leslie Page will be here with At the Library, find out what's going on at the Woonsocket Harris Public Library. And, of course, we'll continue on with the rest of today's programming. Listen in because we'll be calling Radio Squares all day long so you can register to win the $300. Joe may be back tomorrow. Make it a good day.
Broadcasting live and local daily from the Navigant Credit Union broadcast studio at the corner of Park Avenue and Kennedy Street. This is WOON Woonsocket Radio. And now, the news.
A weekend apartment building fire in Providence has left 25 people displaced. The fire broke out just before 4 o'clock Saturday afternoon.